right, everyone. Welcome to another Street Hockey Life podcast. If you're getting to watch us right now, we've got the Americans walking off in victory as they defeated the Garden State Warriors on Sunday at the U.S. Outdoor Ball Hockey Championship, presented by Bauer and hosted by Pittsburgh Street Hockey, and of course run by our friends at New England Ball Hockey, Scott Duggan, Zach Marquise. They did a wonderful job this past weekend. It was quite a thrill for all of us. So congratulations to the Americans. Big win, 5-4. And Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Obviously people watching on YouTube or the video, you can obviously see a nice black eye that I received while in Pittsburgh. So it was a really good time. Basically, the second game, there was just kind of a high stick, but really wearing a helmet kind of really helped kind of save it from actually hitting the actual eye. It was more the cheekbone, and then it kind of just got darker or whatever. But we all had a blast. I hope, all the guys that we brought up there got a really good experience. It was our first, we got our feet wet. Really good competition, so we definitely had a good time, and we'll kind of dive into retrospective of our team and particularly the novice division. But it was also good to see the A division and the compete level at that level, and the caliber of talent. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, when we were on the bench on Sunday morning, some of the guys were saying how you look like you were playing in the Winter Classic with the black eye a little bit. It looked really good. So it was it was enjoyable. For sure.
Well, yeah, I basically looked in the bathroom on Sunday morning, and I was like, literally could just add another one and you wouldn't know any different. But we played at the crack of dawn. so it didn't really fit to match it, because it was still dark, I think, the minute the game started.
Yeah, it was cold that Sunday morning too when we played. It was pretty icy out on the tile, because that dew had just settled over, and it was slick out there for I would say a good couple hours. Even in the some of the later games, there still was a little bit of slippage out there. But either way, it was a great learning experience for all of us. So to Dan's point, we got a chance to spend all of Saturday in Pittsburgh at the championship. Got a chance to watch a few games for us. So just to recap a little bit about the winners, and obviously the A division was a 5-4 win for the Americans over the Warriors, who have a solid team. They actually won the club championship this year. Got to see them play live a little bit, which was pretty cool. I'm close with Corey Hurst, so seeing the Gods in person was really fun, and they actually played right before us against the Saints, which ended up going to a shootout. So we got to see a lot of that game. And from our perspective, that A division was really, I hate to compare it to NHL, but in a lot of ways, like those guys in the A division, they just move really well, they pass really well. The speed, the strength, everything is just a top-notch better. So I guess my analogy would be like, if that was the NHL, that would be them, and then of course Novice and C division would be probably an AHL comparison. I don't really know if this is a good comparison, but it was just really interesting.
I think the big part of it is that when you watch an A division, it feels a lot like watching a hockey game, in the sense that it flows very similar. The minute that the ball goes in the corner, there's someone on them. It's not like you're watching a guy run for 20 feet or 20 paces to get there. There's constantly, somehow they have the ability to look like they're playing man-to-man, but then they're also playing a zone, but then they're also covering all these different areas with really good crisp passes, even though the ball bounces a lot more. So speed, skill, and team camaraderie really gels well, where you feel like, oh, I'm watching like pretty high level like hockey, and it flows really well. Whereas I think the lower divisions are really good to watch, and there's really good team chemistry and really good movement, but there's just, I think, that element of them covering the so much more ground than some of the, the novice and C division people that either don't know exactly where to go or can't get there as quickly to make it look as fluid.
Yeah, for sure. There was I mean, there was some physicality too to these games too, even in our division. That was I would say enjoyable. I felt like we were playing, real hockey, which, a lot of credit to these guys. A lot of these guys are so strong on their stick, which is pretty good. So it was a great time for me, Dan, personally. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing. And again, just to recap some of the winners, as most people are already aware, but Nick Carter was the MVP of the A division. He scored the game-winning goal to clinch it for them. In the C division, our friend from Chris from the Pylons, their team won the C division, which was great. I did get to see a little bit of their action too. I got to see a little bit of them play. And then in our division, a special congratulations to our friend Steve for the Bay State Warriors and his entire team. We actually opened up against them, and they beat us 3-1. But Steve, congratulations, and that team, they earned it because they had put up some good numbers over the course of the tournament. So overall, it was a great weekend, well-run tournament. For me, it was like I said, it was a major learning experience for our Legends team, who we hope to come back and do more of these tournaments. But for the most part, what did you think of the pace? Did you feel like you were in shape? I mean, what did you sort of think of that level?
Yeah, I felt pretty comfortable, so if you were to, to help people that, maybe even listen and played in our Ironman tournament, it's obviously a lot different to a certain degree because you're managing. You feel like you can go a little bit more all out on a specific shift and not manage as much of your paces because we had 3 lines, which was super helpful. I mean, like a lot of people said, you can't go there with less than 3 lines. And I would definitely second that because you really need to kind of get your wind back and then go back out there. But I was really happy that it wasn't like my reserves got depleted as the day got on. I felt even by the 3rd game on the first day, I still had plenty to go. And so I was happy with that, particularly from the pace perspective. And the rink is not as big as a lot of people think it is. I think people think that, and I thought myself, I admit, I thought 160 feet sounded really big. But once you have 10 adults on it, it becomes very small, a lot less space to manage. You don't really have to go as far. So it's really not an issue that I think is a concern that a lot of people have. So that was kind of some of my takeaways. I think was the speed and skill was close to, I guess, what I would expect. And then I think it really makes us think about, if we could get enough really good quality guys, I think we could really compete there, which was really exciting to think of.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we had a makeshift group of guys for our team. We had some of our core Gloucester guys from Gloucester, Mass. That we're gonna have one join us in a little while, and share his perspective. But we were a makeshift. We had some guys from Athol, Mass. Who I thought were pretty good. I was happy with their production. And then we had some other guys that we had from Uxbridge. Our goalie played phenomenal. Tyler, he played excellent. He kept us in some of these games. But again, I mean, to your point, Danny, overall, there's been, from playing, it would be interesting to see, and this is something that when we have Corey Wilson on, is talk to him, ask him about the size comparison a little bit. Like when you go and play, say, the North Americans down in Philly, which is, I think, 185 feet. It's an indoor facility too, versus Fitchburg, which is on the smaller side, and see what his take. And for me, I thought Fitchburg, the way it was set up with the 3 rinks, I liked playing outside. I thought that it added another dimension. It kind of gets back to the roots of playing street hockey outside. I just was so impressed with everything that happened. But to your point, I think our guys had a learning curve too about, even floating blue, gaining the zone, working it back to the point, covering points was a major topic over the course of our weekend. But like I said, we learned a lot, and there was a few times where, we felt we were playing a team called Old Glory, who, they were a really, really good team. In my opinion, they spread the floor very, very well, that it was hard to defend them at times. So, and that's where we want to get to these points where we understand the game a little bit more at that level, that we're spreading guys out too and being able to move the ball. For me personally, I enjoy the game of gaining the zone and then setting it up. I mean, I like that as opposed to more of a run and gun type of style. But again, for me, it was a great learning experience. I was happy with our team, the way we competed. I like I said, I can't say this enough. I'm repeating myself, but I feel like I learned quite a bit, and I think the goal moving forward for us is to get more guys that, like you had mentioned, that played in our Ironman, to get them involved in these tournament series a little bit. And I do think when we have our own rink, we'll get more interest in people trying to compete at that level. But it's everybody that competed in that tournament. I was really impressed with, the quality of play. I really got a chance to talk to some of the people like Anthony Ciaramitaro from Milik. It was good to talk to him. I got to see Corey for a little while. I didn't want to really, disturb him too much. He was, it's a tournament setting. He wants to win, and I didn't want to distract him a little bit. So, but again, on our Facebook page, on the Young Legends Street Hockey Facebook page, we do have one of the playoff games. It's the in our introduction, Dan, I called them the Warriors. That was the Indians. So the Garden State Indians, team from Mass, the Grizzlies. So people are welcome to check out that. That was a pretty good game to watch. I enjoyed that. Our friend Anthony Ciaramitaro was in that game. So a lot going on this weekend. But so I don't know. Any other thoughts that you have before we bring Anthony on?
Yeah, I think that one thing, like you said, from an experience standpoint, I think a lot of our guys, even in particular, were kind of faulty of it, where you have this mindset where you have really high expectations of how you're going to go in there, how you think you're going to play. But really, you can't have too high expectations when you don't have the experience. And even just this one tournament, I think you gain a lot more experience than I think even the guys realize. Like for me, I think the best part of the tournament was playing so many different teams that had different styles, because you learn so much over the course of a few games, where in a lot of ways it was humbling, because you're like, I don't understand. One minute I'm playing really well against a team, the next minute this guy's much stronger in the corner. These guys come down on you a lot differently, or they're able to stick handle past you, or they move the ball a lot better. So you're wasting your time moving around. So I really enjoyed that, since it was like a really fast learning curve, which I think will help us in the future. So I think that would be a good question, like you said, for someone like Corey Wilson, or someone who people that play in these a lot, how much they feel like they have to adjust their game. Because I feel like when I played ice hockey, I knew exactly what I was doing all the time, and I didn't really think too much about the opponent. Whereas here it was like, as a team, with us, the older guys, we probably have to be more responsible of it. It just seemed like these teams could come at you with completely different skills. They might be way faster, younger, maybe not as talented, but they could move the ball by you and still put the ball on net. And it didn't matter that they didn't do one thing or the other. So I think that was a big part of it. And I think just, obviously credit, and shout out to the directors, Scott Duggan and Zach, because the rules, I thought, were very clear on the website. Everything was executed very well. We had, running time in the first period. It was very easy, I felt like, to convey the rules to the team.
Sure.
And the whole 50-50 contact. So the idea that it was clear that you could play the ball when you had a 50-50 chance at the ball, 1 minute for penalties, things like that. They did a really good job. As long as you read everything online, we were very well prepared. Also, kind of from a referee standpoint, that's a good learning experience for us. They have really good referees that know all the rules, and do a good job managing all the teams and everything. So, there's a lot of really good positives.
Yeah, to your point, Danny, too, about, Ryan Wilson is going to be coming on the Street Hockey Life podcast soon, talk a little bit about, the referee side of the game. But, he's a major figure here when it comes to referees, and he does a phenomenal job. And, that's one thing I want to ask him. I mean, what do you do when you get these guys that are just ready to go at it in the corner? I mean, I was before our Old Glory game, I was standing in the corner getting ready to go out, and there's a scrum and a battle going on in the corner. Next thing you know, everybody's getting in the mix. This, how do you, I give him so much credit for being able to hold his own out there too. So, and again, it's and that's the passion of the game of hockey. You expect those things to happen. People they want to win. You get emotional. Unfortunately it's part of the game. And so, but like I said, you're right. Those refs, I give them a lot of credit, and especially Corey. I see him reffing all the time in Leominster or wherever. He travels a lot for this refereeing. Does a great job for USA Ball Hockey. So yeah, that's
and it seemed like they did a good job. They do a really good job where they have the more experienced refs on the A games, and I think even in the playoffs they have a third ref that kind of isn't even on the court and things like that. So yeah. I think there's a lot of takeaways as far as how to manage a tournament, and all the things, the logistics that go into these things that people don't you don't realize them when they're smooth. You only recognize them when they are poor. So I think the positive is that no one notices these little things because they went well. And it's cool that the actual director can play on a team, and while everyone else just figures out what court they're playing on, and who they're playing, and they just go from there. So
yeah, for sure. Well run tournament. So great job, Zach. Great job, Scott. Hopefully we'll be back again next year, Dan, with maybe a little bit more of a different team, more of our local guys that we know, because that definitely helps. For me personally, it was just getting guys in there, and trying to blend the camaraderie of some of these guys together was challenging. When you've never practiced, you don't literally. I had to describe the sweatshirt I was wearing prior to our game. So, we still did it. We managed. We had a good time. So anyway, we're going to bring in Anthony Ciaramitaro right now. And Anthony is one of our core guys from not only Young Legends Street Hockey, he's one of our directors. He's also one of the core guys on the Legends team. For Anthony's been playing with us since we had our first Ironman tournament back in 2000. Was that 18 that we did that? Has it been that long?
Definitely. I mean, it's been, when we were watching those YouTube videos, I think, that we had, it was like 2019, and that was probably the second year.
That's the second, yeah.
So I would say, 2018, 19, then we skipped the year.
Yeah. So we were, so Anthony, I've known Anthony since he was like 9 or 10 years old. He actually grew up playing in Young Legends Street Hockey. And then he and I and Dan, we've stayed close. Now we're all pretty good buddies. And it was his first go in Pittsburgh. And he's going to share some of his thoughts on basically what he experienced. This was Anthony's first tournament. And like I said, I thought he did fairly well. He's probably going to criticize himself a little bit more. I know it's like I said, I know it's a steep learning curve, but I can see that Anthony's trying to connect here. So we'll give him a brief minute. But I don't know, Dan. I don't want to add on Anthony, but
I think the big thing is the idea that we really are looking forward to his perspective, because for us, we have a unique perspective because it was our first tournament, or my first tournament too. I mean, for you, technically you've played down in the North Americans and some other tournaments, so you were able to kind of coach us to a certain degree. But I've also been able to be more even exposed to the NBHL and all these other tournaments, and the idea of the level of talent that was coming to Fitchburg, and at least have a better, idea of what to expect to, like I was saying, set our expectations at a comparable level. So I think, someone like Anthony or someone on our team, it's, leaving Gloucester and, and just even seeing this world that is such a niche sport, but is also growing rapidly. A lot of people don't have a clue that, how big of a deal there are, just how many people. I mean, oh yeah, I played street hockey this weekend. Well, that's cool, but it's like, well, technically, I mean, we played 28 teams across 3 divisions. That's no joke, especially when the teams that came played weekly. Typically, that was like their 4th, 5th tournament of the year. It's a big deal. So
yeah, there was last week I was outside, obviously practicing a little bit. I don't know if you call that practice when you're playing out in your driveway against your wife who's trying to check you. But there was one of my neighbors, his son actually plays in our skill development program this fall. He came up to me and we were talking about playing in Pittsburgh, and he goes, how many guys you have going to this tournament? I said, well, we got about 17 guys and 2 goalies. And he's like, well, you have 17 guys for a street hockey tournament? I'm like, well, yeah, it's not, it's not a tournament in which, everybody is just, you're out in your backyard playing in a driveway. It's, there's rules, there's boards, it's real hockey. So he was sort of kind of blown away by the fact that we had so many guys going. I mean, just the other thing too, Dan, I mean, this is what was really impressive is even some of the uniforms. I mean, those were really nice uniforms. I mean, like I said, I've seen some of these teams from afar, meaning watching them on live stream and things like that, but not live stream. I forget what it is that they use, but maybe it is live stream. I'm just going to leave it at that. But seeing these teams in person and seeing the gods warm up before their game, literally doing some calisthenics, or like what we do at skill development, we get the kids warming up, high knees, jogging, lateral movements, karaoke, shuffles, all those things. And then seeing them do it, it reminds me of like when you and I played hockey. That's what we would do prior to games. So I'm not sure people realize how important that stuff is, and how competitive it can be. So like I said,
and that's where, like, I think we're trying to come in with this whole podcast and things like that is it's this idea of living street hockey, and if you want to play at a higher level, how do you get there? So I think that's a big part of where we try to. You start by exposing people to the world, and then little by little we try to build how would you then get there. And the idea is hopefully you partially get there through our program, because that's how the best players on the Americans went through the Lemonster program or things like that. So that's the idea of Young Legends, is to play on a bigger surface, get moving, and then be more prepared when they go there. So
absolutely,
that's where it can be exciting to then be recruited for a team, because you went to this tournament. That's something that we didn't really touch on, was this idea of people prospecting even different divisions for the A divisions, which is cool.
Yeah, that was a thing that I think Deck Hockey Focus had talked about how the NBHL guys are picking up players from that for their tournament teams. And the other thing too that we didn't even touch on is this was a tournament where USA Ball Hockey had a chance to scout some players for the national team, and obviously in that A division, that's a very competitive. I mean, teams from New Jersey, Pittsburgh, obviously. I mean, that was a big deal for a lot of those guys. So to mark that up, I would love to see how have a further conversation about the outside versus indoor. I'm very curious to hear about that. But I see Anthony has been able to connect. So Anthony, how's it going, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, guys? First time, long time.
That's a
you
good
guys
match.
got me at a tough time. The power's out here, so I had some trouble connecting, but the phone did the job.
Nice job. I heard there was some outages over there. So
yeah, I would go camera on, but just pitch black right now in the room, so you're not gonna be able to see much.
That's okay. Yeah, so Anthony, we've been chatting a little bit about our experience, but how are you doing? 2 days after this tournament has ended, how are you feeling?
I feel great physically.
That's good.
Trained a lot going up to the tournament, and then kind of relaxed the next day for sure. Was definitely a little exhausted. Kind of skipped the morning workout the Monday morning after, but yeah, it definitely not too bad. How are you guys feeling?
I don't know, Dan. You want to answer that first, I guess?
Yeah, I was happy that I felt good enough where, if we had went further on Sunday, I was ready to go. And then even today, definitely pretty sore, but in some areas that I didn't expect, like a lot of the upper body from being the physicality, I think, a little bit more even upper body, but I felt like, all I would have to do was stretch and get out there and play. It wasn't like I can barely walk across the room or something like in years past after our Ironman. So I try to not get to the point ever again in my life that I'm that bad out of shape. So, I, like you said, same thing, tried to be in pretty good shape to going into it. So I was one of the things I was happy with is going, leaving there feeling still decent. So.
Yeah, Anthony, I felt, I was definitely sore in my hamstrings from that running, definitely, because we'll talk about this later, but training for this half marathon, I've been doing a lot of longer distance and then these interval training. So I'd probably be worse if I hadn't done that, but I do feel I still feel a little sore, which is good. That's what I need. But for the most part, I ended up getting in a lift yesterday, and I haven't jogged yet, mostly because I've been, it's been pouring buckets here in New England, but that's okay. So, but anyway, coming into the tournament, what was your expectations, if you had any, and then what do you leave with?
I think the expectations kind of break down into 3 tiers. I mean, I know just from the perspective of, I guess, what I was kind of envisioning the tournament was going to be like, kind of met up to exactly what I was thinking. I know I did a lot of research looking into it, just watching a bunch of teams play on YouTube and such. And I think that expectation definitely was fulfilled and pretty much to par. I think team-wise, I think we're pretty strong overall, to be honest. I mean, I know we didn't pull out a win this weekend, but I think overall it was important to kind of see the team build, and from there just kind of get a perspective of what it's all about. I know there were some times when we definitely just saw kind of I guess what would be considered like almost a culture shock. It was just kind of different from playing ice hockey to actually playing in, I guess, what you would call like an amateur professional league type skill level. And it's definitely different to see for sure. I mean, I never really realized until, I guess, this weekend that there really is a big difference. I mean, I know when we play our tournament, it's anyone that's pretty much picked up a hockey stick and jump right in, and you're almost guaranteed to be one of the top players on your team if you've had any kind of sense of hockey in your life. And then here it was like almost reversed. It was like almost as if it was like a handicap or so. Playing hockey, it felt like. So that expectation was definitely a little bit different and definitely kind of not exactly what I was expecting. But I mean, yeah, overall, I think we kind of was kind of exactly what I was expecting. I mean, I think I was definitely expecting us to get a win for sure, maybe a couple more goals. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think that was kind of the expectations were kind of fulfilled, and I think it's a good spot to start building off of.
Yeah, for sure. Danny and I talked a little bit about that. There is a little bit of definitely a culture shock. I mean, for us coming into a tournament like that where we don't have a rink, we're not playing in a house league, it can be even more of a daunting task. But, overall, the way the tournament was run, some of the teams, the uniforms, the setup. I mean, what was your take home from all that?
I think the biggest take home was just that there is that high of a level. I know when we were in between games watching, I believe it was the Gods and the Saints, which were the highest level and I think the highest ranked two teams in the nation or something like that. When we were watching them, I guess I just never realized how competitive like floor hockey or street hockey, ball hockey, whatever you want to call it, like can really get. I mean, we're watching some of these guys, and it's funny because everybody that I told I was going to play this weekend asked me how it went. That was the first game I brought up, and I was telling people, I was like, it's almost like you're watching them, like you feel like you're watching them on roller skates because they're just moving so fluidly, and the ball's moving so fluidly, but they're on their own feet, 2 feet, and it's crazy to see kind of the vision that they are able to have like down ice and be able to move the ball as a team in like one unit and know exactly where everybody's going to be. It's kind of incredible to see and to know that there's that level out there. I mean, for someone, I guess at 25, kind of trying to build a career, it's tough to really give that much commitment. But for someone that might be younger, say 16, 18, maybe even really young, I guess around 12 years old or so, that can look up to a league like that, it's definitely something that I wish I saw earlier. And I think that there's definitely opportunity. I mean, I know I'm not too old yet, but definitely something that you have to dedicate your time to get to that level. And it was cool to see that there is something for people that really did commit their time to it.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a really cool thing where it's this idea, you have a very unique perspective. It's like, how big of a deal do you think it would be that, when we have a rink, we can then have, possibly, split our league up so that we have a little bit older kids, playing on the bigger surface or however we end up doing it. But imagine you've got 11 to 15-year-olds playing on the actual same size rink that we played on, every weekend. And then we also host a tournament where maybe it's just the A division because we only have one rink, and they get to see the Gods and the Saints and the Americans play. I think, what a difference that would make as far as just the excitement and the competition within our own division to kind of, sow the seeds to think, oh wow, maybe I don't even play ice hockey, but this looks like a really cool path to take,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess it almost kind of reminds me a little bit. I know we had growing up like the football league in town in Gloucester. And I mean, that was kind of what it was you're always looking up to that team above you. As it gets more and more competitive as you get older. And I think that's something that it'll be able to give the community around here something definitely to look forward to if we have teams like that coming in and playing and you have a younger generation watching that. It definitely gives perspective and the opportunity to people that maybe, like you said, haven't been able to pick up a hockey stick or never even thought about playing hockey in general or anything like that, and just always have kind of been a big Bruins fan. So for sure, yeah, it definitely will help the community and the overall deck hockey vision around here.
Yeah, I was going to add, Anthony. I mean, you grew up obviously playing in Young Legends, when you were very young. And you and I had texted back and forth a little bit about how we've come a long way over the last 18 years. It's been a long time, or 17 years for you, but when it comes to what you bring up is that one story that I talked about a little bit, and some of you guys don't know this, but Anthony spends a lot of time with us when it comes to designing our league programs and the rink design. A lot of credit goes to Anthony in the sense that Anthony was one of the original guys to put the writing why the city of Gloucester needed a street hockey rink. And I took Anthony's work and basically started to craft it to not necessarily edit it, Anthony, that's for sure, but sort of take points from it so that we could start, presenting that to our city. But one of the things that like you had mentioned is this idea and these concepts that we all grew up playing, the local youth hockey program, Cape Ann, and then some of us went and played select hockey and did all that. The goal was to make the NHL. I think for our vision, which we talked about, is when we went to Leominster for the U.S. Nationals back in May with the Wild Selects, we took some time to look at their chipmunks. There was chipmunks there that were competing, and chipmunks are 4 to 6 year olds, for those who don't know. And these kids were pretty good. I mean, we were like, wow, so in a lot of ways, there are kids that are starting out at a very young age, and they're working their way through the system, meaning they're local, if they have a local program like Leominster or Fitchburg. Down in Swansea, there's the South Coast Ball Hockey League, which those towns are doing the same thing. And then you work your way up, and before you know it, maybe you're trying to find a spot on the national team, or USA Ball Hockey just did that Future Stars event, which was the U15 and the U13s. I mean, those kids were so solid. Fundamentally, they could stick handle, they could move. I mean, they're light years ahead of where we are. I mean, like I said, Danny and I, we primarily grew up playing ice hockey. This never existed. And most people know the story of how when I was playing for, in high school, I drove by Leominster and was blown away by it. I didn't even know that it existed. So I think the rink is, like you said, is going to change that dynamic of kids realizing that I might not be able to play ice hockey. I might not be able to afford it, get skates and all that stuff. But all I need is a stick and a few pieces of equipment, and I can go out and run around and play and learn the game in a different way. It's still a variation. But speaking of equipment, after my long rant, what did you think of the equipment? I feel like you hated your gloves. I'll tell you this quick story. We're getting ready to go out against Old Glory, third game. We're really kind of warmed up at this point. Anthony goes, "Do I have to wear gloves?" And I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah, I guess it's just a comfort thing. I've just never, even growing up, I was never one to wear like hockey gloves while playing in Young Legends, and I always just went bare hands, even though some people wear the hockey gloves. And I don't know, if it was up to me, I probably would have just worn the helmet and nothing else. but the rules are the rules, and I guess they're not meant to be broken down there. So you got to wear them or you can't play. But for sure, definitely going to pick up a pair of those nice gloves that they had. I think the ones I was wearing, I don't know where my dad got them. He claims he used to play a bunch of street hockey. But the bright red fit the uniform, I guess, and made me stand out a little bit. But it definitely, the gloves. And it was definitely a little strange. That was my first time, to be honest, ever taking off a cage. I never wore a helmet without one. That was the first time I was wearing a half shield, which definitely, I don't know if I do that again, just after seeing some of the hacks people were taking. I might go back to full shield. But yeah, no, I think the equipment thing definitely works. It's kind of funny because I never have, I guess, played street hockey that, I don't want to say aggressively, but that kind of physically, I guess. I was expecting definitely to be bumped a little bit around the puck, and definitely was. And I'm fine with that, completely fine with whoever wants to take a run at whoever. But as long as it's obviously in the line and in the rules. But yeah, I never really realized how much body play there was, especially on like 50-50 balls. I know there was a few times you're going full tilt with somebody else into the corner, and I was watching some guys kind of take some nasty runs at some people, but no call at all. And I guess that's just kind of the way that it's played. But you got to kind of like that. At the same time, I mean, I'm someone that's always a big advocate for kind of, I don't know what they would call the guardians or the enforcers of like the NHL. And I think it's important that when you have guys on your team that are skilled, like Joey or anybody else that we play with, that's putting the puck in the back of the net a lot of the time, there's going to have to be guys out there for sure that are willing to go into the corner and kind of get dirty and be able to kind of man people off the puck, especially if you're a defenseman. I know a couple of the older, stronger guys in the tournament we play. It's not always fun being out front, getting a stick to the back, and being pushed around like you're like the Christmas tree at the end of the season, just thrown right outside, you know. But
that's a good analogy.
But that's how I feel, and it's yeah, it was definitely cool to kind of see that, even though it's not, as everybody down there will tell you, it's not ice hockey. There's definitely a lot of ice hockey similarities for sure that play into it. And I sometimes I felt like, even with like the offsides thing and a couple of the other rules they had down there, it's like everybody down there kept saying, nope, it's not ice hockey, it's not ice hockey. But at the same time, it's that's kind of where the rules derived from, essentially. And it's kind of funny because I don't even think they notice sometimes the little habits and niches and the rules around things are all based obviously off of ice hockey.
Yeah, and to your point there, you were even asking some people down there, did you ever play ice hockey? And they would say, no, I never have, you know. So that was impressive to be able to, you know, some of these guys have never played before and are out there with some really good stick handling ability. They could shoot it. You know, it always proves that point that what we've been talking about to build our own rink is that anybody can play this game. Of course, it varies as far as skill level is, but like I said, I thought you did a great job. I know it was a learning curve for a lot of us, and I mean, steep learning curve for me too. But leaving there, my last question for you would be is how, this is sort of a two-part question. How do we get more guys from Gloucester to get into this game so we have more camaraderie out there? And the second part is, do you think some of the guys that won our Ironman from that Bulldogs team, you know, the Parsons, Adam Brown, would they help us dramatically?
To answer the first part of your question, I think it's a big word of mouth. And I think it's a matter of honestly finding people that want to do it. I know it's always tough for us to kind of, what we joke around about is get people over the bridge. And I know that's tough for anything. But I think the biggest part is telling. Obviously, word of mouth is going to be a big piece of it, but at the same time, I guess kind of outlining and showing some people that we've talked about before that we think would be great additions and people that would be strong playmakers and goal scorers for us. I can't really put a finger on it and say a reason why. I mean, I think a lot of it is who's willing to do it. I mean, you can't really sell ice to an Eskimo that doesn't want it, you know? So it's one of those things. And I think definitely, like you mentioned, some of those names like the Parsons, and I've always said Adam is definitely one of the strongest guys in that whole tournament that we put on in the summer. It's never fun being out front against him. He's just got big stick that he can poke away the ball from anyone. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think Adam would definitely be a great addition, and anybody else really from that. What I think is, what did you say? It was the Bulldogs team or the Parsons team, or the Mugs? I know they go by in the Industrial League.
Yeah.
But yeah, those guys, I mean, they're all super experienced and definitely have played plenty of hockey, especially together. So, I mean, any chemistry that they can bring is great. And then a couple of the other guys, I know the defending champs the 2 years before that, RHC, guys like Jack and Castro. I even was saying in the weekend, I always hate playing against them, but I have to give it to them once in a while. I know Eastman, he loves that type of atmosphere, just playing street hockey and getting rough in the corners with people. And as much as we hate playing against him, he's definitely a good player at the end of the day. And people like that is who you need on a team. I think he said, he was telling me recently he might be moving away, but yeah, I think it's guys like that that want to play, and definitely are committed to getting out there and moving the ball around and not just looking to get out there and do all the work themselves. I think that's the biggest thing, and that's something that's as the Young Legends team and the tournament we run, might not be the most fit, the most talented guys, but it's a matter of just moving the ball to where it's going to be, and the continuity that we've built with each other over the years that seems to work. It's magic every year.
Yeah, sure. And in our own tournament, I mean, when we first originally designed the Legends Street Hockey Club, we had invited a lot of those RHC guys because they had that speed. They brought a element of speed to the game that, our team tends to be more of, set up plays. We try to get the ball low, work cycling, get the ball to the front net. Whereas, RHC is more of this run and gun type of team, throw it down. Someone goes in the corner, gets it, feeds it out front. They're able to move so well. And, having that combination, like I said, what do I know about ball hockey at this point is not a lot, but that could be a formula for success in mixing those two teams. But like I said, as you mentioned, Adam Brown is a strong guy, he's a great guy. And, those guys I know have interest when the rink is built to start competing more regularly. So that's what we need. We need more guys playing. We need more people getting interested in this game. And, we're getting closer, right? So I'll leave you with this. Did you see the pictures that went out today to you and the rest of the team?
Yeah. Side note as well, just to backtrack just a tad bit. I know that those guys can definitely bring the party too, and I think that's something that we need to bring on the road with us when we go out. But back to the pictures, yeah. For sure. I think it's cool to kind of see things getting started. I for a while, especially during COVID times at the very beginning, I was like, oh geez, like this is going to derail everything. And who knows where this is going to end up. This could take 3-4 extra years now. And wasn't really sure how things were going to go, but things did stay on track. And if anything, it kind of catalysted a little bit. I felt like just because we were able to get in people's faces a little bit more, and even though times were tough, people were still willing to keep things moving for us. Yeah. And I think it's exciting definitely to see things getting started, and it's important for us to keep grinding, and hopefully businesses hear this and know that we still need a little bit of help moving forward, and we'll definitely get there as time keeps going.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a process. I'm still a little shocked. The pictures I'm referring to are going to be posted on our Facebook page on Young Legends Street Hockey. So they'll be posted in the coming days, probably before this podcast goes out. So I'm going to say they're already posted. But it's quite a journey. I mean, this year has been really special for a lot of us, with the development of the rink, some of the donations we received. And I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful that you were able to get out in Fitchburg. For those of you watching this, Anthony does, he's a great guy. He's very passionate about the game. He does like to party from time to time. And that's quite all right. He earns it. So
we made it to the 7 a.m. on Sunday.
He did. I was proud of you. He did. But when we had that podcast,
it wasn't a guarantee.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. And you guys can thank Joey for keeping us in Fitchburg, because me and him were heading back to Boston for a little bit. We woke up that morning and we're like, thank God we stayed in Fitchburg.
Thank God, is right. I gotta next time. Maybe Chris Noyes is one of those guys we can pick up too sometime. Now that we know. He's not a bad player, that guy. So anyway, that's
for sure.
You guys had seen him in Fitchburg, but anyway, Anthony, thank you for doing this. I'm sure you'll be back at some point, and I hope you get your power back soon, buddy.
Yeah, me too. There's a new episode of The Masked Singer, so I gotta get on that. All right, you guys.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, so that's Anthony Ciaramitaro. He's a character. You guys, once you get to know him, he's a great guy. He's been with us a long time. One of the central parts of our core group of not only our board of directors, but also part of our Legends crew. And by the way, I did want to say this, Danny, is that going there as Legends, I didn't want to have anybody misconstrue this idea that Legends were like these guys with these big egos that were Legends. I literally just took Legends because we had a oxymoron of Young Legends Street Hockey. So this was just our version of our adult version. So that's where Legends came from. But Anthony's a character every time. But so grateful to him. All right. So I think did you have any other thoughts you wanted to bring out before we wrap up today? And
I don't think so. I think we covered pretty much everything that we could and should, without going down too much into the weeds, so.
Yeah, it's good to have a different perspective. I mean, from my perspective, I mean, this is my second, real tournament, and it was, again, a more learning experience than anything else. So the one thing we did want to talk about, we released this yesterday, and as we mentioned it, Danny, we're getting ready to run this half marathon. You want to talk a little bit about that and tell people what we're doing to raise money for our rink?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, we're just trying to. This started out of this is my second half marathon. I was originally going to run it with my wife, but she has bad back problems that kind of been flaring up and stuff. So then we were like, well, I had always wanted to run it as at least some kind of fundraiser for the rink, whether or not she was able to run it. So then Kyle volunteered himself to come into the gauntlet of running a half marathon. So I think that we're hoping that it's something that we can raise money for. We're trying to get creative with it. One thing I even thought of today was the idea that if we could maybe make a pledge, at least myself, is that if we reach the $10,000, I'll run the whole half marathon in full hockey equipment.
All right.
So like things like that might, at least, because it's not easy. We've asked people obviously for money multiple times, and then we try to come up with new things, but it's still, they're trying to figure, they need to be incentivized and things like that as well to feel, to help out. So, that's something that could be fun, where we make, and we're also inviting people to either, not necessarily, they can run it with us, or they could just run it in general, because it is a really good half marathon that my wife has run before in Gloucester, Massachusetts. So there's a few out of Gloucester. The one that I did was out of Salem. There's such beautiful views. It's a really good location in general. So I'm excited for it. And we hope that we can continue to, fundraise for the rink as a good way to, help continue to raise money. So that's the plan.
That's the plan, is right. I mean, I jokingly haven't ran since Friday. I mean, we definitely ran over the weekend. We ran quite a bit, and I plan on running again tomorrow. I should be running in the rain, but I've kind of been a baby about it. And also, I actually haven't been feeling as well. I feel like I got a little bit of a respiratory thing going on, right? I mean, a nasal thing, but plus I've been after the weekend busy with work too, of course. So, but yeah, I'm excited to run to do the 13 miles. I mean, this. I'm sure other people don't know, but I've never considered myself a runner. But like I said, I'm training for it mentally and physically, and I do believe in being challenged is where you find your growth. So that's where I'm looking forward to it, and to raise money would be just another passion for the rink. So. I had mentioned these pictures. A few pictures have come out already of the DPW sort of breaking ground down there. We've got a nice ceremony planned on Saturday where we're going to have, a nice shovel ceremony, and, hopefully we can, continue to raise money for the rest of this project. This has been a major undertaking. And with COVID, to Anthony's point, he said, he was worried we're going to get derailed. And truthfully, in a lot of ways, COVID really impacted us as far as the financial picture, because it just raised prices so much on the boards, the tile. So, and again, it's building a street hockey rink is a privilege more than anything else. So, but yeah, it should be a good run. I me, I love the ocean, so it'll be nice to be running by the ocean. I enjoyed that quite a bit, and I just got to figure out how we're gonna post the route as we go. I don't know how we'll do that yet, but that's for another day. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's the hope, is that we want to get people engaged early and often through social media, and then on the day of the race and things like that, keeping people in tune, involved, and maybe even some of our training sessions like leading up to it and things like that. We've talked even about figuring out a way to have kids run their age over the course of November, things like that, and maybe they can either piggyback and share our GoFundMe. They could create their own, but might be easier we could always modify ours, and they could share it, and things like that. So
that's it. That's a great idea. Keep kids active too. Extra training. So that's a good idea. So but I think we covered a lot tonight. We talked about the championship a little bit. We talked about our experience. We had a different perspective. Any last thoughts that you want to share on that tournament as we wrap up?
No, I think that, I think we overall, like Anthony had said, we would have liked to have more wins, but I think the really positive of it is that we left there feeling like, if we could get the right line combos and the right people, and, we could actually compete really well moving forward. So it's really hard to get people's schedules and everything in line, but it's really good to look towards the future and say, okay, if we can get Ben up from Florida, we can get, just a few more guys and, hold on to our goalie and get in touch with some people we can really, I think personally, compete in, another one of these. So,
for sure. Well, as always, Dan, thank you. And, I just wrap up by saying that, this weekend for me was pretty unique and special. I obviously love the game of hockey in many ways, and playing ball and street hockey has been just a kind of a nice change for me from being in a rink all my life. But I really enjoyed playing outside. That was probably one of my favorite parts. I thought it was fast. I thought the tile was fast. The ball moved great. I just had a great time. It was great chatting with so many people that I mentioned. I had a really nice conversation with Tom McMaster and his wife, Lisa, Fitchburg Street Hockey. It was just a great environment. And it was, for me, I've spent so much time watching the live casts of the club championship and the North Americans of the A division that for me, it was really rewarding. It was just really fun. I don't know if rewarding is the right word, but it was fun to see these, teams like the Gods play, and the Saints and the Americans and the Warriors. Just seeing these guys play in person was, in a lot of ways, it's so cool to see how much work and effort they put into this game, and it really shows. So, just want to say,
and I think the one other thing is that what I guess people should take away, that one of the most exciting aspects of ball hockey is the idea that the age discrepancies between people isn't an issue. I don't think people realize sometimes how much the age gap between myself and Kyle. So we've never played on a team together at any level. My sister and I are closer in age, but being different genders, we didn't play together otherwise, other than in a spring league that my dad ran, which allowed us to at least play a little bit together. So ball hockey brings together that kind of situation where you can play with someone that's, vastly older than you. I think that Kyle had mentioned there's a team where there was a 15-year-old on the team, and they could have had a 45-year-old as well or something. So it's a kind of a crazy mix, but it works, and that's what's really cool and unique about it.
Yeah, it's true, and I mean it's not like our assistant Candace, she is a pretty good athlete herself, and maybe someday we'll be playing in a co-ed league with everybody, and that would be a pretty interesting experience. The only time we've ever really played is in the coaches game that we have in Gloucester. But you're absolutely right, Dan. It's an all-inclusive sport. So, for those of you that there's some videos of these games, like I said, if you go to our Facebook page at Young Legends Street Hockey, you'll be able to watch the Indians and the Grizzlies play, which was, one of the A division playoffs. It was pretty good game, pretty solid game. Sorry, the cameraman, which is me. You never know sometimes when I'm filming, so I apologize in advance. But I'm really excited about the state of the game. I think, for me personally, this has been like I said, a great weekend. I enjoyed it. It was fun to play with you, Dan, obviously, and the guys that, we have. I enjoyed it, and we'll be back in a couple weeks. Probably we got some people lined up to come on. We got Corey Wilson coming on from the Americans. We got Ryan Wilson, his brother, to talk referee strategies and tournament directing and things like that. And Ryan's a wealth of information anyway. And then we got a chance to see Johnny Ruiz this weekend, and he agreed that at some point he'll be able to come on too. So it's working around his schedule's hard. He's playing ice right now, so it's kind of hard for all of us. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. And Dan, any parting words?
All right. No, I think that's it for me. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys, and special congratulations again to the Americans, our friends, the Bay State Warriors, the Pylons, and of course to Scott and Zach for a great run tournament. Till next time, we'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day, great evening, whenever you're watching it.